challenge for you, the 390 challenge. Choose what you want to learn in 2024 and aim to complete at least 90% of the course in the next 90 days. And if you do that, you get back 90% of what you paid for the course. We believe you can do that. Now all you got to do is commit to your success. Commit with Geeks for Geeks. Wait for the code. We believe you can do that. Now all you got to do is commit with Geeks for Geeks.
Hello. Okay. So let's just have a look that whether my voice is coming or not. Yeah. Okay. So my voice is clearly audible, right? Yeah. So hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will be understanding some basic concepts about the Node.js. In the previous section, what we were doing is we were understanding all about Flutter, how Flutter works, how to create an application in Flutter. But if we want to create a full stack application, we should be having a very advanced knowledge about how to manage servers, how to, efficiently create servers from which we can actually use data, how to create APIs and everything. Okay. So here the place where Node.js comes in, right? Sudhir Shekhar. Good evening, sir. Yeah, good evening, bro. I hope you're liking this series. So, okay, so let's start with Node.js. What exactly is Node.js? What do you understand by Node.js? Why we uses Node.js? So, Node.js is a free open source environment. Okay, it is mostly free and it runs on various platforms as well. Like for example, Windows, Linux, Unix, Mac OS, and etc. Okay, and what it does is it uses JavaScript on the server. Like if we will talk about Flutter, what Flutter does is Flutter works on Dart. Dart is the main language behind which Flutter is created. Like Flutter is a framework, right? Similarly, what we does is we have Node.js which works on JavaScript. Okay, Node.js uses JavaScript as their main language. Okay, what it does it is basically not a framework. What you will see, it's not a framework and it's not a programming language. Node.js is basically used to build backend applications like APIs. Okay, like web app or mobile app. Like yesterday, if you were checking out the application which we were creating, we were using an API, right? Let me just show you. Where we have right here. In this, we were using an API. See, this is an API which we were using, right? So these all APIs and everything are mostly created using various backend servers and all like Node.js. Okay, it is basically used for production of large companies such as PayPal, Uber, Netflix, Walmart, and so on. Okay, now what you have over here is in Node.js there are some of the basic concepts that you should be aware about how it works and all. Okay, so Node.js works on response and request and response method. Okay, what it does is it expects a basic request from the clients. Okay, like for example, here you can see we are requesting here and we are expecting a response from this particular request. Okay, what happens is in Node.js we will be asking him to give me some output. Like for example, if you call an API which has some data in it, so we want that API should give us some response. That is what happens when we call out Node.js. So while working with the request in Node.js, it handles them in a single thread. Okay. Now, what I'll do here is obviously I cannot create a very detailed, in-depth explanation of Node.js. So I'll do what is I'll provide you a basic presentation, which is right here I have with me. What you can do is you can have a look at it, and in that presentation there is all basics from beginners to advanced concepts about Node.js. What we will be doing today is we will be just understanding the basic part which is necessary for creating a basic app. Okay, then later on when we will be moving on to another high-end applications, we will be modifying it and we will be understanding more in-depth concepts about it. Okay, now what exactly happens is Node.js is used to create servers. Okay, what we does, we create a basic powerful JavaScript runtime environment that can be used for building server-side applications. Okay, what we will be understanding today is we will be understanding a basics about Node.js and how exactly we integrate Flutter with Node.js to create a very powerful full stack mobile applications. Okay, so before we start, it is very important to understand that Node.js is a server-side technology, which means it is not designed to use directly in the mobile application. However, what we can do is we can use the power of Node.js through APIs and web services. Okay, we can create very robust backends that can be used for mobile application by Flutter. Okay, so that's all about the theoretical part which you should be knowing. Okay, now what you have to do here is if you want to download Node.js, you have to go to a site which I'll just show you here. You can see this is nodejs.org. Inside that you can download your own, Node.js. For it, you can see here if you will click on download, you have to select your installer and everything. And after that, it will be downloaded. Okay. Let me just show you. After this downloaded will be done, what will happen? You will be downloaded with an MSI link, which is right here. In that MSI link, if you will open it, you just need to do next, 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 next. And after that, you will get, let me show you image like this image you will get, and you can see you can just go next, 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 next like that. And in the end, your install part will come like this. Okay, click back to review or change any of the install instructions. You can just click on install, and after some time it will be installed. Okay, now what will happen if you want to check that whether Node.js is installed in your server or not? What you can do, you can just go for command prompt, or inside this command prompt, you just have to type one single thing, that is Node.js. Oh, sorry, I have to write node hyphen v. What means we are basically asking it to give us the version. Okay, and here you can see it's version 19.4. Currently, I guess 20.11 is going on. Mine is a little outdated, but it's fine. Okay, so you can see that we have Node.js properly installed in our device. Okay, if you don't have this, you can just check out for environment variables and everything, and then you will be getting it. Okay, what we will do, we will just close this out, and now what happens is we will be starting with the basic part in it. So let me do one thing. Let me go to VS Code, and here is the main data, right? So let's just minimize this. We'll open folder. Inside this, we will just open this basic app. Okay. So now in this, you can see we have all the code that we have worked so far in it. Okay. Now what I'll do here is we will be working with first application. Okay. So for basics, you should be knowing a very basic data types. Okay. Let me do one thing. Let me create a file and I'll write index.js. Okay. Now there are some things which you should be aware about when you are working with Node.js. Like you should be having some basic knowledge about programming languages. Like if you have studied this Flutter series, you will be always knowing what is a bool. Okay. What is a Boolean value? Then what you have undefined. Okay, then you have what you have null. Okay, null means is empty string. Then you have what string over here, and what you have a number. Okay, so all these are various types of data types which you might be aware about if you are from any programming language background or anything like that. Okay, if you are not, just let me give you a very basic example. Okay, like let me write int a equals to what? Int a equals to 10. Then what you can write console dot log a. Okay, you can input like this and it will be working and all. Let I'll do let. We are basically assigning it as a proper value. Okay, so we will just run like this, and inside this, let me go to the terminal. And as soon as you will go to the terminal, you can see we are here. What I have to do here is to run this particular application. I'll just write what node index.js like that. I can just run it. Firstly, and just do like this. What will do it will give you an output 10. Okay, I don't really need to run it, so that I know everybody might be having that much basic idea. I'm just giving you an example. Okay, now what is this? A equals to any string you want, like hello. Okay, let's give it a hello. Then what you have, console.log again. Okay, let's give it a v like that. So basically what I'm doing is I'm defining some of the values to multiple variables. Okay, like for example, variable for storing string data type, variable for storing number over here. Okay, and similarly you have a variable for storing boolean, like for example, c equals to true. Okay, then what you have console.log, and you can, if you want to get the type, you can write type of c, type of a, like that. You can just enter it. Okay, so I'll write type of C, like that. Okay, so you will be getting all those output properly in your code, and let's see whether it works like that. Yeah, now you can see that let me write. Let's just hit run. Yeah. Now you can see that what we have, let a equals to, and you're printing out, so you're getting 10. Then what you're asking type of, so it's giving us string. Then what you're asking type of C, it's giving you boolean. Okay, so very basic thing that we have run. Okay, now let's go with a little example. Let me give you let company. Okay, so let company equals to any empty values. Let's give it, like for example, yeah, Google age 20, and what you are asking here is you are asking Sundar Pichai. Okay. Yeah. So that is what you have in this company. Okay. What you have given some sort of values. Now what you will ask if you want to ask anything. So I'll write console dot log. Okay. Now inside this console.log, what you have, you can write anything like information about the company, and you can just write as company. So what it will do, it will print out all these values which you have over here. Okay, so information about company, and you're getting all this as an output. Okay, so that's about the basics of Node.js. Then what you have functions as well. Okay, so let's just create a function. Till now we were understanding very basic objects and functions and all. Let's do one thing. Let's create a function here. Let me give you nodes as well, so that you will be having all the nodes here. Okay, so this will be for the nodes part, right? Yeah, let me just comment it out. Yeah, so now you will be getting nodes as well if you need it. Okay, and what you have in node a function. What is a function? Suppose we will create a function called multiply. Okay, so I'll write multiply like that. Then it will take obviously two variables as an input. Okay, a and b. Like, see, I'm just giving you a basic output. I'm just giving you a basic idea because already we have done all these concepts in Flutter. Things, and see, the concepts are same, only the way of writing code will be different. Okay, so here you can also see that we are using almost same procedures and everything. So I don't think so that it's very important for you to understand all these things. So what I'll write, either I can give it like this, like console.log multiply 3 or 4, or I can do one thing. I can define a very I can define proper variables here. So for example, what I'll do, x equals to 2, 4, like to 4, and y equals to 5, and then what I'll write, console.log. Okay, so console.log. What I'll write a text as well, that you have certain multiplication and all. So yeah, multiplication of, yeah, like, okay, let's do one thing, let's just keep it like that. And if I'll hit run, you can see that you're getting 12 as a result and 20 as a result. Okay. So what you have, 3 fours are 12 and 5 fours are 20. Okay. So all these things are working fine. Okay. It's not necessary for you to just understand each and everything now. I hope this much part is clear. Let's do one thing. Let's create our first application over here. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just, either I can write a very basic, hello world right here, like console.log, this is tutorial 8, or this is tutorial for hello world. This is tutorial for Node. Okay. So you can either run like that and yes, you are getting your particular output. Okay. Now what you need here is you need to be creating your own set of application. Okay. You need to understand what happens when we create our own application. So let me take you to a very basic part. What I'll do here is I'll write a code. I'll write a very first application for you to understand. Okay. Let me do one thing. I'll write here git init. Okay, so let's do one thing. I'll create a new folder here. Okay, and inside that new folder, I'll write node.js tutorials. Okay, node.js tutorials, and inside this tutorials, we will ship this out. Now I'll just open folder. This one, where is the folder? Flutter basic. I guess this one is it. Yeah, inside this you have Node.js tutorials. Okay, so let's just open this part. Yeah, and now you can see that we have Node.js tutorial and we'll open a terminal and we will click on new terminal. Now inside this terminal, what I'm gonna write git init. Oh, sorry, npm init. Okay, npm init. Okay. So now what it will see, you can see that it is telling you that this utility will walk you through a certain creating a package .json file. Okay. What is an npm? Let me just give you a very basic about it. So npm stands for a node package manager. These are basically the libraries which are built, by the community, which will solve all of your problems. Okay. npm has different sort of packages which are used in our applications to create faster and efficient uh, server side. Okay, what happens is, let me firstly start it. If you want to create, a node file, or if you want to create a proper file, you will write npm in it. This will be storing all your basic things in it. Okay, what I'll write package name. So it's asking package name, so you can enter it. Currently, it's Node.js tutorials. I'll just keep it like that. Then version is also the same because currently we are working on simple version. Okay, what do you have description? I'll write this is tutorial for Node.js. Okay, so I'll write this is a tutorial for Node.js. Then you have an entry point, let's take it in text.js. Okay, or if you want, you can write app.js as well. But you have to make sure whatever file you will write it, whenever you will run that application, that particular file should be present. Otherwise, your app will not work. Okay. So you have test command. Currently, I don't have any text command. Then git repository. Currently, we don't have git repository as well. So keywords, author, you can write anything else. Currently, if I want, I can write Amogh, my name, license, and yeah. So you can see that, yeah, it's telling you all those things, the name, version, description, script, and everything. So let's just do one thing, enter. And now you can see we have our own set of package.json file. Okay. Now let's do one thing. Let me open a package.json file for you, and you can see it has all the basic information. When you will be exporting our application, when you will be using our application somewhere, this information is very handy. It stores all your things and everything in it. Okay. Now, what you have to make sure is that now you will create a file called as app.js. Okay. Why we will create an app.js file? Because we have just specified right now that yeah, you need to make sure that you are having this app.json file. Okay. Now inside this, what you have all the basic extensions and everything. Okay. Let me do one thing. Let me make sure you understand HTTP. What is an HTTP? Node.js has, a built-in module called HTTP. What it does, it allows Node.js to transfer the data over the HTTP protocol, over, the proper uh, internet. So it allows it. What it is pre-installed. It is included in the base version. So what I'll write var HTTP. Okay, equals to require. Okay, it basically is required to one like that. Okay, so I'll write require HTTP. I hope my code is visible. Okay, yeah. So what it does is you will be seeing that it is a HTTP thing. It is HTTP package which will enable us to transfer our data from different places. Okay. Now what you will do, you will create an HTTP server that will listen to server ports. Okay. Let me, yeah, I know currently it sounds little difficult for you to understand, but I'll just give you an example. Let me do one thing, HTTP dot create server. Okay. Like that, I'll write http dot create server, and inside this server, as I told you, that Node.js will take a function which has a request and a response. So firstly, you have to request some data, okay, and then you will get the response based on that request. So inside this, you will be having your own sort of lines. What you can write anything you want. Like suppose if I'll write dot rest dot write, where exactly I should rest dot write? Rest dot write. Inside this rest dot write, what I'll write anything I want, like suppose hello world. Okay. Then what you does, you have to make sure that you write rest dot end. Why you have to make sure that you write rest dot end is because the server will be keep on whistling for your response, because you can see it's asking request and response. So you're getting a response, but you have to make sure that ends it like that. What it will do, it will write a response to the client, and this one will make sure that you have the end of the response. After this, the server will stop listening. Okay. And you can even make sure to write code like that dot listen on 8080 on anything like that server, whatever you need. Okay. So usually what happens is when you're working on the server side, you have to make sure that you uses the last uh, available port numbers like 8000, 8080 or something like that. Okay, because usually when you works on a front end part, you will be having this 3000 already acquired a lot. Okay, so what you have to just make sure, you have to make sure that this part works fine. Now, what I'll do, I'll just write what? I'll just write node app.js. Okay, so I'll write node app.js, and as soon as I will hit enter, we have to make sure that it works or not. Let's see. Yeah, currently it should work. Yeah, and it is working, but you're not getting any sort of confirmation. Let's do one thing. Let's try to run localhost 808080. Okay, so 8080. Yeah, you can see that currently, as soon as I wrote 8080, localhost 8080, you can see that we are getting our hello world. Okay, so we have successfully created a very basic, very first server, our own server. This is our own server. Currently, it's working on localhost. You can access this server throughout your a device, but it will not work when you have to pass on somewhere through the internet. You have to make sure that you have, any sort of domain like GeeksforGeeks or anything, your own set of domains which you can purchase separately. Okay. So, but now you can see that we are working, our code is properly working, and yeah, you can see that we have created our very first application. Okay. And yeah, what you can even apply a lots of tweaks and everything, okay, into this code. But what usually happens is when we were working with Node.js is kind of like little old compared to Express. People usually uses Express because it simplifies the code and it enables us to scale and robust our own applications. Okay, that's why we use Express a lot. Okay, you can understand that Node.js is like an engine of your car, but what an Express is like a whole structure of your car. Okay, which is built like obviously if you have a car, you know that the engine is the main thing in a car, but upon that engine you have whole body. So Express is like a whole body. It's built upon the Node.js, but yeah, it is way more better. What you can do is you can start by initializing Express as well. If you want, I can create more video or more explanation about Node, but I just want that that's pretty much it for you to understand if you have worked with it. Now, what we will do, we will be just jumping on Node or Express. So you will write npm install Express, okay, like that. First, let me do one thing. Let me take you to the Node.js website so that you can see a basic code. Yeah, Learn, I'll go learn, installation part is done. Yeah. Now you can see that we have a very basic code over here. We have already worked with this part, right? What you can do, I can just, copy out this lines of code and I can show you what it's trying to say so that you shouldn't be not having any sort of confusions over here. Okay. So, yeah. What you can see that firstly we have, told them about the package HTTP. Then what we have done, we have given them the host name. Usually it takes a local host by default, but sometimes people specifies it, like for example, host name. Then what you have const port. Port is also specified, like here is 3000. I want the port name should be 8000. Okay. Then this is the part. So we have written const server equals to http dot create server. And as I told you, it takes two things. It takes request and response. So request is not defined because we want that it should be on the default side, right? So yeah, you can see we have response dot status code. You have to make sure that status code is 200. Then what you have set header. You can edit your own set of headers, but let me do one thing. Let me just comment it out. What it is basically let me plain text headers where you have default types of things. Then you have the main thing response.add hello world. Okay, as I just showed you in the code. Then what they have written here is they have written us a entry line, because before when we were running our application we were unable to get that where our exact application is running. But now if I will just implement node app.js, you can see it is now telling me that the server is running at this particular link right here. Okay. And if I will just click on that link, this particular file will open. It's exactly the same line of code, but they have done to make sure, you understand how it works and all those things and all. Okay. So yeah, now what we have Express. So it's one of the most popular Node.js package. It has over 22 million weekly downloads. And yeah, let me show you Express, how exactly it is and what is there in Express. Uh, yeah, you can see that as soon as you will open the Express website, it clearly says that how you can, install in Express. So what you have your own sort of getting started documentations and everything, and you can just read out all the documentations. Okay. So let me do one thing. If you will click on Hello World, you will get a very basic code. Okay. So let's do one thing. Firstly, let me start and let's just comment out this code so that you can see the difference in this code. I'll write here as node.js and then I'll write here as express.js. Okay, so that you can understand. Yeah, so let's do one thing. Firstly, let me just close down the server, and now let's do one thing. Let's start our own uh let's firstly install our own express. Okay, so what is there? npm install, or it's, where is the website? I have to just make sure that we are using a proper code, right? So yeah, it says what? It says to install. What you have to do here is you have to write npm install express. Okay, let's do that. I'll write npm install express and save. So it will take a minute or so, and you can see that our Express is getting installed. Okay. Now, what you will see that as soon as you have added Express, and if you will come here to the code which we have created, package.json, you can see that it has been added automatically in the dependency file. Okay. Now, inside this dependency file, you have the code which is, there, or which is important for you. So yeah, you have this sort of code already created. When you will pass on this to someone else, when you will upload this code and anybody has to access, all the basic data will be available here. They don't have to make sure that all the data has to be present. And you can see that as soon as we have written or we have imported any sort of dependencies, we have a node module. This have all those packages and all those things which is important for us to make sure our app works smoothly. And in that you have package lock.json. It also has some of the basic files which is important for application to run. Okay, now let's do one thing. Let's start by creating our own application very first. So like if you will see that in Node.js, you were importing a package called HTTP. But what happens is here, what you will do, you will write, why is this happening? Okay, so what you will do, you will define express as constant. Okay, so constant express equals to require express. Like that, you will firstly define it like that. Okay, what it does, it will let know our application that we are using an express module. Okay, then what you have a very basic server that I'm about to click. So what I'll write port. I'll define the port as 8000 over here. Then what you have app.listen, app.listen here. Okay. And inside this app.listen, what you're going to write, you're going to firstly define a port. So your port has also been defined right there. And right after this port, you're going to give them some return output. Okay, so inside this output, what you're going to write, you're going to write that that console, your server is running at this in this particular part. Okay, what you can do is you can just run, and yeah, you can just hit run like that. Node app.js, what it says, app is not defined. Okay, let me make sure that I have written the proper code, what it says here. Yeah. Oh, sorry, yeah. What I forgot is I forgot to initialize that, yeah, this app is our own express. And now if I will run the application, it should work extremely fine. Yeah, you can see that your application is working at, your application is currently working here. But as you can see that you don't have specified any sort of data, there is nothing specified in it. That's why not getting any sort of output. Okay. So this is about Express, how our Express works and how you can, get our sort of Express and everything. What you have to make sure is you have to make sure that you specifies that request and response part. Okay. Because as you just saw that we did this part was correct. Okay. Then what we did, we write app.get this and this, and we just gave them an empty response. We didn't give app.send response. We didn't give them any sort of response that we wanted them to send. Okay, so what we will do this time, we will send it out. Okay, and let me just run this code right here. So here you will see what we have done. We have firstly imported express, okay, which is important. What it does, it is an express function. Then what we have done, we have written here an app is an object. Okay, and then we are basically specifying our own port is a number on which it should work properly. I want it to run on 8000. Then what we have done here, we have basically create an app.get method. So app.get will take us two parameters, that is a request and response. And what it's giving us a response without taking any sort of request. So if I will hit run, if I will just hit run like this, okay, you can see that it's saying that example app is running on this and this particular port. And yeah, if you will see now, it's giving us hello world. So yeah, Express is way more easy in comparison to Node. Okay, why it is like that? Uh, you know, Express is basically built on the top of Node. Okay, so Express adds more features to build app compared to the Node. Node is just a JavaScript environment with libraries to make it easy to write, software. Whereas we have Express that extends it a lot more. Okay. So this is the basic part where you have created a very easy example. What I'll do here is this is a presentation file, okay, that I was using to, give you a basic idea and everything. It has all the basic code written on it, data, how to use, where is my server, how to install, and yeah, currently we are going to use NodeMon as well. What happens is when we are working, you have to see, it's very annoying that we have to every single time do this, that cancel it and rerun it, cancel it and rerun it. That's why what we'll do, we'll copy nodemon. Okay, so what you can do is you can go to npm.js, npmjs.com, and inside that you can see we have nodemon over there. Okay, so inside this nodemon, let me just close this side. Okay, so we have this side, and this side. Okay, so inside this node one, you can see that we have node one is a tool that is developed on Node.js. Basically, it what it does is it will automatically restart an application whenever the file is changed. Okay, you don't have to do this cancel and rerun part. So what I'm gonna do, you will be doing it like that. npm install g node one. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's cancel it out, and I'll write npm install g node one. Okay. It's gonna take some time, 1 or 2 minutes, and yeah, it will be done. You can see now we have 3 packets already included. If you will go to package.json, here you will be having node1 as well in it. Okay, so what it will do now, if you will start for this start app, you have to make sure that you specifies an endpoint over here. What you will do, you will write for starting. What I'll write start node app.js. What this will do, this will make sure that you don't have to write that same sort of line. So what you can do there, instead of writing that same line of code, that node app.js, you just have to write node one start. Okay, so yeah, you can see as soon as you will click node one start. What is this start? The start is specified here, that whenever you will write start, it means node app.js. So whenever you will hit run, you can see that your app has been started and it's currently listening here. Okay, so hello world. So yeah, this is what happens when you use node one. What I will do this if I'll write node.js. This is, oh, hello world, this is my first Express project, and you just have to reload, and now you can see this is my first Express project. You don't have to do that same thing, uh, closing the server and restarting it again. Okay, so it makes our code way more easy to work with, and it also ensures that you don't have to waste your time again in restarting and ending servers like that. Okay, so now comes the main part in this whole thing. It comes the main part, that what you can do to implement Node.js with Flutter. Okay, so what we are going to do there is we are going to use this particular line of code that we have created inside our Flutter application. Okay, so what we will do to get started, we have already done the Node.js project. You have installed Express as well, and we have also a basic code that is running on low post here. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to name this as app.js, which we have already done, and after that we will just run this proper code and it's working. Now what I'll do, I'll be creating an API for Flutter app. So what you can do to create an API, you can write anything like books or something. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me create one more application here. Okay, so I'll write API for Flutter. Okay, and inside this API.flutter, we will open an integrated terminal. And inside this terminal, I'll write npm init. And yeah, what is package name? API for Flutter. Yeah, Flutter API. I'm gonna name it like that, Flutter API. Okay, so it cannot contain capital letters. I forgot that. So what I'll write, Flutter API like that. Okay, then you have version, description. What is the entry point? Entry point will be server.js. Then you have test command, nothing, get repository, nothing, keyword, nothing, author, nothing, none. Okay, so that part is done. Six. Now inside that you see that we don't have Express in it. So what I'll do, I'll quickly install Express in it. Okay, and also I'll install Node 1 as well. Okay, come on. Express has been installed and Node 1 will also be installed. Okay, so that part is done. And what I'll do, I'll write here a starting script, that is start node server.js. Okay, so what I have done, I have created server.js. So I have to create a file which should be also like server.js. Okay, so I'll write server.js. Inside this server.js, I'll create a very basic sort of code. Okay, that will be having const express, which is like I'm basically importing files, right? So if you know that Flutter has packages and installs, you imports that, same thing is going on right here. Then you have const app, which will give you an express and you have the port number. Okay, then what you have app.get. Inside that, it will take two things. Okay, for entry point, you have to specify, yeah, this is hello world, this is my first Flutter application, like that. Okay, then you will close it. And similarly, what you're going to write app.listen. Okay, at which particular port you are listening, you have to make sure that at that port you are listening, and you will specify it here. Okay. You will specify it here that you are listening on console.log and some basic code. Okay, so without getting started, let me just give you a little brief so that you won't get confused and all. What we have done, we have just created a very basic server. Here you have constant, which is an imported file express function. Then what you have done, you are defining that, the const app is the express function, and you have given a support that is an 8000, which is a number on which our particular app will be running. Then what you have written app.get, and this is the point at which your app will be working on. Like, for example, let me give you where it's running. Yeah, here it's right. So currently it's this is the main file, like, entry point or default point, you will say. This is what. So whenever your app will be loaded, you will be getting this particular line in that. Okay. Then what you have written app.listen, and inside the app.listen, you are specifying that basic port at which it's listening. Okay. So I hope that much part is clear. If you have any doubts, then you comment out. I'm listening. Let's give it 2 seconds. Let's give it a minute so that if you have any sort of comments or doubts, you can ask it. Okay. Okay, so we have written, this is our very first Express server, and what I'm gonna write node mod start. Okay, and as soon as you will hit start, what it did, it crashed. Why? Throw error. What error is thrown exactly? Let me check. Okay, maybe that port is utilized. So let's use another port here. Yeah. We will see an integrated terminal. Yeah, in this port already our code is working. That's why you are not getting it. So now if you will run it, now you should get the proper output. Okay. Example app listening on 8080. Okay. Don't have any. So I hope that whatever I have taught you so far is properly cleared. Okay. Because for the upcoming applications, these are very basic things, but it should be very important. It is very important for you to understand these part so that we can, implement and create more apps. Okay. So what we have done, we have created our own server. Okay. Let's go here, and if I will reload it, now you can see that it should work on 8080. Okay. So yeah, hello world, this is my first Express server. Okay. You can even use HTML codes वगैरह in it, like for example, H5. Okay. And like that you can utilize it, and if you will see, yeah, H5 and H4, H2, like that, you can use that as well. You can customize your own output. But okay, so now what we are going to do, we have a basic Node.js server setup. We will be creating an API that will be used to communicate with the server. For this, we will be creating a very simple API that will be returning us the list of schools. Okay, so list of schools we will be creating. So what I'll write here as const schools. Okay, inside this const schools you have some basic sort of list here. So I'll write that id is 1, then the name will be school 1, and similarly you have id2 school 2, id3 school 3, id4 school 4, like that. Okay, and yeah, that's it what we are going to use here. So format, if you want to change the name, you can change it, but I'm just not gonna do that. So here you will see that we have given them a very basic art. Similarly, if I'll write it like this, and if I'll just run it here, and I'll write books. Okay, so what it should give us, it should give us that request.json file. Okay, so JSON, inside that JSON, we will be having schools. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's just hit our server is already running, right? Yeah, it's running. I hope it's not giving us any errors. Okay, fine. So now what I'll do, I'll just write books or schools or anything like that. Yeah. Now you can see you're getting ID school name one. I have an extension installed that I'm getting a code like this. But yeah, you can see our entry point is properly working, right? Without any sort of errors. So this means that our code is proper without any error, and it's fine. Now, what you have to do here is you have to create a very basic Flutter project. So we will do one thing. We will create our set of Flutter project here. Let me go to where is our project app? Yeah, Flutter Basics. Inside that, we were already working with projects, right? Yeah. We will do what? We will come here and I'll write Flutter create node API test. API testing. Okay. So we will create a Flutter app which will be used for testing our very own node API. Okay. See, that part is done. We have successfully created our own Node API testing part. Okay. Here you can see them all. Let me just close it, and close it. So you can see we have uh, Node API test code. We will be just redirecting ourselves to that particular folder so that it will be easy for you to see. Okay. Node API test. Okay. This is the file. Inside that you can see just we have very basic main.dat file. I'll remove each and everything from it. And what I'm gonna do, firstly, I'm gonna import a very basic package that is, I'm gonna import a very basic package that is package material.dart. Okay. After that, what I'm gonna write void main and run app. Okay. All these are basic part. I hope everybody knows it. Okay. So then I'm gonna write stf here. Inside that you have a stateful widget, and inside this stateful widget, I'm gonna write school app. Okay. So we have a very basic school app already set up, right? Now, what you have here is you have to create a, you know, uh, list. Okay. You have to create a list with an endpoint which will be fetching a list of books or a list of schools or whatever things you have, from the API endpoint. So what we will do, we want them to display, and in terms of that, you have to return it in the form of list view dot builder. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just firstly I'll come right here, and here I'll specify that list of schools. Okay. So list of schools that we have over there, and I'll name it underscore schools like that. And what it will be an empty list. Okay, because currently we don't have that data, we have to fetch that data from that part. Let me do one thing, schools. Why it's giving us an error? Yeah, we will be working on that part. Okay. So what we will do, this part is done, and we will be creating a basic function. Okay. That function will do what? That function will fetch the data for us. Okay. So let me cut this part out. I hope this part is not that confusing because we have already worked with weather app. So this pretty much all the things should be cleared for each and every one of you. Okay. So I'm gonna write future. Inside the future, we are going to write void. Okay. And inside this void, what I'm gonna write fetch schools. Okay. So fetch schools like that. We are writing fetch schools, and it will be what? It will be an async. Okay. And inside that, we will be having a final response final response equals to what? Equals to await HTTP. Okay. For that, you have to, import that HTTP package. So everybody should be having that HTTP. So let me do one thing. All right. Pub get HTTP. Okay, sorry, it's not like that. Flutter it's like Flutter pub HTTP, something like that. Okay, maybe I'm not writing correct. I'll write pub.def. Inside that you have HTTP package. We will import that. You can see this is the package I'm talking about, this HTTP one. Okay. So what you will do, you will just copy this package and you will run it. Okay, so let me go to pubspec.yml. Inside that, we will have dependency folder, and right here, after this, we will paste it. And as soon as we will save it, it will be imported automatically. Okay. So let's just give it a minute to reload and everything. Okay, and as soon as it will be reloaded, you can see we will get our output. So yeah, it has been imported. And as soon as it will be imported, we will be able to uh, add here. Okay, so what I'll write, import that convert we will use, and HTTP also we are going to use. Okay, so inside HTTP we are going to give them a URI. So get what? You are going to ask them to get a proper URI. So URI will be URI.parse. Parse means you are going to get that. And inside this, what you will do, you will go here, and inside this you will see localhost 8080/books. Okay, so we will just paste this here inside ports. Okay, so let me just give you ports here, and inside this quotes I'm gonna paste it here. Okay, so what we have done, we have successfully pasted this out, and what I'll write here is, if I'll write that if I get, okay, and I'm gonna write that if I'm getting request response dot status code should be equals to 200. Okay, then what I'll write, response, obviously when I'm running it I should get a response dot status code should be equals to 200. If you want to check your response code, you can just go to this and you can write inspect element, and inside it inspect element you will go for networks, and inside the networks you will be able to get your files. Okay, currently it is media, no, manifest, why it's not showing, I don't know. Reload, let's just reload. Yeah, maybe I'm not having that tools, but yeah, it will be shown here, and in that you can get the status code. So whenever you will get the status code, you will just hit run, and if after hitting run, what I'll write final. Inside the final, I'm gonna specify that list. Under that list, I'm gonna write dynamic. Inside this list, I'm gonna write JSON. Obviously, because we are getting our data in the form of JSON, so we want to decode it. So I'll write JSON decode response dot body. So our response dot body will be decoded. And after that, you will write state, and inside this set state, you will be having map, because the data will be formatted in the form of a map. So see, it's if it's getting confused, then don't just go through it. Just make sure to understand that we are trying to fetch the data from some endpoints. Okay, that's it. We are not doing anything else or any errors or something like that. We are just trying to fetch the data from different parts. That's it. Okay, so this part is done. Then what you have to do, you have to make sure that it gets run. So I'll write void init state, and we are going to fetch our school's data. That's it. Okay, so that part is done over there. And what you will do, you will go to this placeholder, and inside this placeholder, I'm going to write a scaffold. In the scaffold, will be having app bar or title. Title will be schools. Okay, and after writing the schools, we are going to body. So inside the body, what we have inside the body, we will write a list view dot builder. Why we uses a list view dot builder? We uses list view dot builder because we create this list and everything from list. We want to create that list from the number of entries or number of things which is present in that. So that's why we are using list view dot builder. So inside this list view dot builder, what you have an item builder. Item builder will be storing what? Build contexts. Okay, it will store build context and then you will specify the context and what you will write the index as well. Okay, so okay, after this you have index in the form of an integer, and right after this index, what you have to make sure to specify where you are going with it. So you're going to write brackets and it's gonna return what? List tile. Title will be from the schools list which I have just created, and same thing. Let me We were expecting to find a bracket. Where exactly? Yeah, here most probably we were finding a bracket. List tile. Okay, yeah. This is done, then this is done. Okay, so maybe I have uh, formatted first. Maybe there's some error with this. Okay, what you have this list tile. After this, I'll just cut this out and I'll paste it here. Okay, yeah, this much part is solved. Then after this, what you have a scaffold here, and after the scaffold, you will print this. No, after this scaffold, you have app bar, and app bar will be printing this procedure. Okay, this much is done. Then what you have now. If I will format it, yeah. Now we have no errors in this basic line of code. Okay, so you can see that we have created a very basic code here, and it should be able to fetch the data. Okay, and what I have written, let me just specify you that. So what we have done here is we have created a very basic file. Okay, inside that file we have a lot of, inside the file we have a very basic input. Let me just close this out and okay. So inside this file, what we have inside this file, we have a very basic void main, which will be the running, which will be the initial which will be the initial entry point for our application. Then we have written a stateful widget, and the stateful widget will be having const school app, and it will be having a list. Why the schools is there? The schools is a model that we have to specify. What will be the model? We will create a model. So what we will do, we will define a class that is schools. Okay. So what we will do, we will specify the class schools, and the school will be having our final what? Int will be an ID. We will be firstly initializing an ID. Then we will write final string name. And then what we will write? We will write the string author or anything like that which you have in your sort of data. Okay. What I have done, I have not used it, or I have just two entries in it. So I'll write that ID and the name. Okay. So inside this ID and name, you have this part done. Then what you will do, you will specify book schools dot this dot id and everything. So instead of writing this, I'll write required. Okay, required this dot id because we need this information definitely. So that's why I'm writing required this dot name and this dot id like that. Okay. After that, what you have, you will be writing some sort of values. Let me give what? Let me write factory book dot not book, actually what we have written, schools, right? Schools, where is the schools? Schools dot JSON. Actually, when I was practicing the code, I was doing it with books, so I have that books remembering in my head. That's why I'm writing books again and again. So what you have maps as well. So what do? We will write firstly map for the string, okay? And then what we have a dynamic, and after that we will close our JSON file. That's it, the code we have in it. And inside this, we are going to return JSON.id name, and also we are going to return JSON.name. Name. Okay, so what we have an address. It's not specified. Let me do one thing. Let me write subtitle instead of writing subtitle. I'll write title will be school name. And let's do one thing. Let's do some changes here. School index.name, and yeah, let's keep it that much for now. Okay. So now you can see as of now we don't have any sort of errors in this code, and yeah, that's about all the code. Let's do one thing. Let's run this. I hope we don't have any error coming out, because it's very tricky sometimes when you're having all this data in your mind. It's very tricky to point out any error which you have. Till that time it's running, let me do one thing. Let me clear you out. What you have, we have an endpoint, that is this void main. Okay. After this, we have what? We have our own school app stateful widget. Okay, this stateful widget means it is mutable and it can be modified. Okay, then after that, what we have an instance called create app state, which will be managing our state right here. Okay, because it's a stateful widget. Then what we have done here is we have created a fetch schools model. Okay, here, which we have a model. What this model is going to do, this model is going to return us the data which we have specified, in which the data which is present in this URL, and it's going to give us using our HTTP package. Okay, let's see. It's yeah, expected a binder, but got null. Let's see what error we are facing. Okay, so we will check what error we have. Firstly, let me just make sure to clear out the our. So after that, what do we have? We have our build method. Inside the build method, we are returning a scaffold. Okay. And in the scaffold, we have the app title or app bar as our own very own schools. And inside this, we are returning a list view. List view.builder, it will be building our own sort of list. Okay. So let's see, item builder. I have not specified the item count, right? Item count will be schools.length. Maybe now it should work. Yeah, we will check that out in a minute. Okay. So yeah, we have the item builder, and inside that, what we have created a class called schools. In this class, we have, an ID and a name properties. So this is a constructor which will initialize it. Then what we are doing, we will be using the factory constructor that will convert our JSON code from the school to this accessible file. Okay. What we have done here is we have some errors in the code. Let's see what we will do. We will firstly check the material app if we have it. Let me do one thing. Let me wrap it with a widget called as material app. Maybe that can also cause errors sometimes. Okay. So inside the material app, what it will take it will have what? It will have a title string, then what you have. Do one thing. Let's me. Okay. So inside this, what I'm thinking to do, we can add a default value as well. Okay. So let's do one thing. Let's firstly add a default value to check that whether it works or not. What this will do, what we have done here is if null, then we will give it a 0. And if it's null, then we will give it a empty string. Okay, that's the basic thing that we have done. Apart from that, we have distribute dot filter, and if we will check that out, we will find that there is no error in the code. Then let's wrap with material app. What material app does is material app will let us work with it because it has all the necessary tools to run our home widget. Let's do one thing. Let's reload. Yeah. Now you can see that we are getting schools, and inside the schools, you can see we are currently not getting any sort of text right here. So let's see why we are not getting any text. Okay, let's format the code out, and yeah, let's see now why we are not getting any output. Let's check whether our app is still working or not because maybe that can cause error. Okay. Our port is listening on 8080. We have school's ID also present. Uh, ID 5, school 5. Let's see whether it's working or not. Yeah. School 5, ID 5 cannot get books. Yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about. We were getting any sort of error. That was the main reason why we were unable to fetch our data. Okay, so let's see what error we are getting here. Our app is listening on 8080. And yeah, it's fine. Yeah, this is my Express server. And after that, what you have books. We cannot get books. Why we cannot get books? Let's check. Okay, we have schools. Okay, yeah. That's the main reason why we are unable to get schools. See, I'm telling you now. I was having this in my mind since that I was unable to process it. Now, if I should reload this app, maybe it should work. Let's first do this debug dot project manner board as false. And yeah, I don't know why we are unable to get our data from it. Okay, so yeah, that's why, because we have written books here. We should be writing schools. And yeah, see, if we will write schools, it's working properly fine. That's the main thing that I'm talking now, that you have to be very specific with your, yeah, let's wait for it to hot restart. And what we are getting error, Flutter runtime and everything. Why we are facing? Because asynchronous suspension. Maybe our app is not allowed to get the data. Yeah. Sometimes we faces this sort of error because our app is not allowed to get that, internet properties with it, or it's not allowed to fetch the data from the internet. So that's why what we do is we will go to src app android manifest.xml, and inside this manifest.xml file, we will make sure that we get our own application internet permissions. Okay. User permission has already been done, system alert, Windows, and everything. Okay. So we have given all the necessary permissions. So let's go to the terminal. And this time I'm gonna write flutter clean. Okay, this will clean out all the builds that we have created so far. And now I'll write flutter run. We want to run on the second device. Okay. So let's give it a minute so that it should work. We are successfully running our emulator here. Let's see what we get. We are again and again getting an asynchronous exception. So I don't know why we are getting an asynchronous exceptions. Let's check. Yeah, our API is working fine, but yeah, we have to make sure why it's not working. But most of the part our code is perfectly correct, and if you will even see that, let me just go and run it to Postman, and yeah, if we will see that it should work properly fine. Let's do one thing. Let's add any other data from schools or any other data from any website, and we will check that whether it's working or not. So let me add some random files here. What we have, localhost. Most probably will yeah, we are getting our data. See, our API works fine. API does not have any sort of errors. You can see ID1, school 1, ID2, school 2, ID3, school 3, and all the things. We are getting our own data properly, and yeah, we have to make sure that why we are unable to get. So maybe there is some changes in the code. We will be implementing that. Okay. But I hope that most of the part is clear. The main focus of our today's video was to make sure that you understand Node.js essential part and Node.js, importance, how to create servers, basics about Node.js, and that part is done. Our API is also working fine, but maybe I have to check why we are getting this very basic, error, because our app is also not getting crashed out, right? So we will be checking what is the possible error that we can get. So what I'll do, I'll just write try here, and after writing this try, I'll catch an error. Yes, all right, catch print. What I have to print? I have to print error error fetching the schools, okay, and whatsoever the error is, that all should give to us, okay. And if we are getting this data properly, then I need you to print that JSON, okay. Let's do one thing. Let's rerun our application. Output we will see. Okay, so we are still getting we are still getting this client socket error. See, error fetching details, and after that client exception with socket exception. Okay, connection refused. Why we are getting this connection refused? We have to check. See, this URI is working. Okay, this URI is not giving us any sort of error. What is the error? Address is the local host. Okay, and the port is 50708. So yeah, we have to make sure that this error is resolved. So we will be checking that out in the next part of the video. I hope this part is completely understood. Okay, and all the things which we have learned in today's video will be clear to you, and it should be not having any sort of errors in your head, right? Inside this localhost, I can write 10.2.2 like that. But yeah, I'll be checking out what the error is, and I'll be updating you in the next part. For now, this was pretty much it for this video. I hope you have understood what we have learned so far. If you have any sort of doubts and queries, then do comment out. If you want the data, or if you want the code that we are currently working or we have worked so far, you can go on my GitHub and you can get that data from there. Okay, the repositories are here, Flutter basic concepts and everything in it. So you can get the data from here. And if you want to contact me on anywhere, you can get me on LinkedIn or Instagram, anywhere. Okay. So this was pretty much it for this video. I will catch you in the next one. Till then, see ya, have a great day, and bye bye.